Hello, I'm Dolf de Roos.
And I'm Stefan Kasian.
And together we created this book called Auction Fever. Now, we're both passionate about auctions, and it's a very, very good way of either buying something or selling something. And I must admit, before I met Stefan, I wasn't really so sold on auctions. I had a little experience in it. But I like to buy things not at auction so that I could, negotiate the price, and I had all these other reasons that I thought why it was better not to use an auction. But Stefan, you basically convinced me on the merits of an auction. Let's share why they are so good.
Well, I did, Dolf. In fact, I thought I had real estate figured out. In fact, I bought my first home for $100 down in 1996, fresh out of school, fresh out of college, and I thought I was king of the hill. But then in the 2001, the terrorist attacks here, the market really slowed down substantially, so I had a hard time renting and selling some of my properties. I began researching what were the best ways known to mankind, humankind, how to get a property sold, and auctions came out on top. So I began researching this, and I found out that you don't just need to use an auction to buy a property, you can use an auction to sell a property, but better yet, you can even use an auction to rent a property or get a lease option filled, get a down payment on a house. And these are some really amazing strategies that I wasn't even sure you heard about at the time.
No, and I want you to hear the significance of this. You can use an auction to rent out a property, in other words, to find a tenant. And I find that exciting. Now, it works very well in a strong market, of course, where you say, all right, we've got this property, you've all seen it. Who wants to offer $1,100 a month for it? Who wants to offer $1,200 a month for it? So that's what, I think everyone can understand how in an up market, it's a good tool to find the highest bidder. But what about in a down market? What if you want to sell a property? How would you use the auction in a case like that?
Well, the irony is that in a soft market, an auction is even better to make a distinction for property. Because think about it, you might have 100 homes on the market, all the same, but then now by offering a home up for auction, you can do this yourself as a seller or as a landlord or as an owner, making this home available at a very low rental bid, and the highest rental bidder gets it. There's only one home like that, and it will get sold that weekend. By creating so much of a feeding frenzy, a marketing frenzy, you can get your home occupied or sold in 9 days or less and take the rest of the month off. So you have a lot more control about it. And I know a lot of people out there, a lot of investors, a lot of homeowners, a lot of real estate agents are hurting without a real viable vehicle to get their properties moved. This is the type of system that can get the attention you want for a house.
Right. I mean, a really good example I find is if you're trying to sell a house, let's keep the price fixed. Most people think with an auction the price can vary, but let's say you're selling a house and you're going to sell it at $150,000. You might say, well, where does the auction come into it? Well, you auction the amount of the down payment. You'll say, we'll start with $1, we'll go up in increments of 100 or whatever. And then people say, well, for $1 I'd buy that house for 150. Well, I'll bid 100, I'll bid 200, I'll bid 300. So you might end up selling it for that same 150,000, but now the highest bidder was willing to pay $10,300 as the down payment. It's a great concept.
And that was so exciting. There was one home, the first down payment auction I did, they laughed when my competition, my investors laughed when I told them I was going to offer it for $100. They said, who would even believe an ad that this home, $150,000, you could buy it for $100. But I did offer the ad for $100 starting down payment bid, and you would not believe how many calls I got. I got 50 to 100 calls in one weekend, whereas months ago the house was just sitting there on the market, and this was a lease to buy. So this attracted a renter who wanted the ability to purchase if they chose to later on.
Well, that's another thing. When you talk about lease to buy or rent to own, what you can do then is you can auction off the option fee, which gives you the right to buy it in the future. So there are all different angles of doing it, and that's what we discuss in quite some detail here in the book, Auction Fever. In fact, you can find it more. Go to our website. It's called auctionfeverthebook.com, and you'll find out more information, or simply get this book. Is it on Amazon at this stage?
You can get it on Amazon or lulu.com, Lulu.com. And we really do cover so many different exciting features. We cover Dolf's initial experiences buying at auctions in the beginning. We talk about the disadvantages of auctions. So we want you to be aware as a buyer, as a seller, what are some of the risks you could get to deal with. One of my inspirations was a dear friend of mine, a local auctioneer. He's auctioned over 5,000 properties in the 80s during the RTC days. So we cover some of the tips that auctioneers use to get their properties bid up so you can avoid getting caught up in the bidding frenzy. But on the other hand, we also teach you how to create the excitement so you can attract the bidding frenzy. And remember, eBay is a household word right now. What was eBay 10, 20 years ago?
It didn't exist. It's basically an auction house done online. So we cover all that sort of thing. I can see Stefan's fascinated. He's reading the book, but that's a good sign if you've written something
this is really good stuff, Dolf. I'm glad
and
to
that's
see
unbiased, right? Anyway, we're sure you'll get a lot of information that you didn't know about auctions out of this book, Auction Fever, or if you want to go to the website, it's auctionfeverthebook.com. Thank you very much for watching.
Again, thanks. Please visit auctionfeverthebook.com.